Well, the folk of Pontarlier are beginning to make their way away from the race after this intriguing stage 20 that completely defies the norm. It was a day for a breakaway today, and it looked fascinating, and it delivered a really exciting and fascinating result. Daniel Freeb has been out and about getting some reaction.
Thanks, David. Thanks, Ned. As you can see behind me, the big, what we call at the Tour, what they call the evacuation has begun. Direction Paris. That's where all the riders are going now in the buses. We saw a fantastic stage today. It will be, I think this will be lost in the kind of mists of time, this stage, but it was a mini classic really, with Caden Groves winning. Few sort of hard luck stories as well. A bit of disappointment. Ben O'Connor, he was very disappointed to lose his 10th place on general classification. Jake Stewart as well, disappointed it didn't work out for him. But the mood that we sort of sensed speaking to riders, DSs tonight, is one of relief, one of everyone exhaling, because the tension of the last 2+ weeks, almost 3 weeks, is finally leaving their bodies until the last stage tomorrow, because that's going to be a bit of a rip snorter over the Montmartre climb. So looking forward to that. Back to you, chaps.
Brilliant stuff, Daniel. David, that was nuts. It was always going to be, wasn't it? Totally nuts.
Yeah, it was. I mean, everyone knew that, and I think we've seen how the Tour de France has been this year anyway, so it was destined to be. And then you had the fact we had the torrential rain at the beginning, so many teams who haven't won a stage, and I think it was just destined to be what it was. And it took, 80 Ks, 100 Ks of just flat out racing until it went.
So Pete made a very interesting point about that when he was watching it. He was just sitting there actually before we started commentating, remembering the way that Team Sky used to behave when he was a domestique for Chris Froome, and he said 2013 we would not have allowed that. You know, the way that Sky operated when they had the yellow jersey was absolutely authoritative. It was no, you're not doing this to the race. Let three French riders go up the road, and then we'll, just total control. But Pogacar's kind of attitude, and I think Pete really respects this for UAE, is just no, bike race, let them do this. This is what this race is all about.
I think it also, the sport's changed so much since then. The peloton, the level is so much higher. We've seen UAE wouldn't be able to control it. Pure and simple. I mean, even once it's settled down, Tadej Pogacar only had 3 teammates left.
Yeah, right.
And they hadn't done anything.
Yeah.
So they had no choice but to let the race take its own course. And that's the very reason the racing is so bananas these days, is because the level is so high throughout the peloton that no one team can control it. And that was very much shown today.
The real kind of stars, if you like, of that what was it, 13-rider break that eventually went, were probably Tim Wellens and Matthew Jorgensen, but actually they were on the back foot very early on, having invested so much in the Alps, and it was down to other riders. Yeah,
I mean, once again, the Super Domestiques getting their chance, but they've burned too many matches throughout the race. But we saw towards the end of the race, they still have the engine to just keep being there. But I think, I mean, you said before the stage Caden Groves was your favourite, and it seemed a bit of a long shot because it was so hard. And yet he made it in there, and with Jake Stewart, who are the two guys who really did seem like they were the guys who everyone had to drop. And at one point it was those two off the front. I mean, granted, thanks to the horrible bit of misfortune that happened to Romeo and Gregoire, which split the group, but then they found themselves in the perfect situation with Frank Vandenbroek. So it did look like it was all going perfect for Jake Stewart and Caden Groves, but then Caden Groves pulled a blinder.
And it was a massive miscalculation for Jake, wasn't it? It really was. He'll be going to sleep going, what was I thinking? Gambling that Vandenbroek would come through.
I don't think he'll be going to sleep. I think that's just, the stars rarely align like that. I mean, they truly aligned today to be there for this stage win. And he made a mistake, and we don't know whether it was orders from the team or everyone makes mistakes, but it's just, as in a way there's such a contrast between Caden Groves, who didn't put a foot wrong today. And sometimes that happens where you're just in that magic zone where just everything's just, it's like dominoes. Everything you do is right. Jake Stewart, he was almost had that, and then one domino didn't fall, and it ended up with getting 6th instead of the opportunity to win.
Yeah, well, Caden Groves is a 7-time winner of stages at the Vuelta. I've been there for both his Giro stage wins over the last few years, but I have never seen the Australian, the very chirpy Australian, as emotional as he was when he gave an interview after the stage.
Caden Groves, you're a man who has already won a lot of races and on Grand Tours, on the Vuelta, on the Giro, but apparently winning a stage on the Tour de France really means something.
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's so many emotions to win here. The team, we come here with so many different plans with Jasper and Mathieu, and in the end, I get my own opportunities that they haven't gone the right way. But today, I mean, I had super legs, and I just suffered to the light. And in reward, we get a tour stage.
Because honestly, we were not expecting a sprint finish. We were not expecting a sprinter. How did you do it?
Oh, the team, gave me the free roll the last days. Especially today, we weren't sure whether to go for the stage with myself or save for tomorrow. But in the end, when the rain starts to fall, I always have a super feeling normally at the cold weather. And it's like I said, it's my first time ever winning solo at a tour stage, so it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, amazing stuff from Caden Groves, who wins in the wet. He just loves the rain, David. He loves the rain. It's cleared up a little bit here, mercifully, so that our bit of paper here won't get wet as it's been getting up in the mountains for the last couple of days. Your questions. John Stroud says, how, if at all, will the reduced millimetres yesterday impact the way today's hilly stage played out? Good reference to the
Never Strays Far discussion on the philosophy and measurements.
Yeah.
I don't think the reduced millimetres will have had so much of an effect because we're in stage 20, and I think it's more the 19 previous stages accumulated and the billions and billions of millimetres, both long ways and up ways, which will have tired them out.
They knocked off about, 290 million millimetres out of yesterday's hilly stage?
Yes,
something like that.
Something like that,
yeah. I hope you're as baffled as most people will be by that conversation. Paul O'Brien says, hello, thanks for all the great coverage. Just wondering if the GC riders will race in Paris with Montmartre included, or is the stage processional as per other years? Ooh, I don't think there's any choice, but there's a big race ahead of us in Paris.
There's so many people want to win, and I think it's going to be... There's been obviously some complaints, I think, from the peloton, but once they're there and they're in Paris, they won't be able to hold themselves back. It's going to be an amazing race.
Which isn't to say that we won't see the processional side of the race. I think the first couple of hours will be all champagne and photograph and smiles, and I think that belongs. I think that's part of the spectacle as well. I don't begrudge the riders that in the slightest. Tom Critchley says, has anyone ever won a stage on a bike supplied by the neutral support vehicle? Tragic that your collective brilliance is coming to an end. That's very kind, thank you. I can barely remember anybody getting on a neutral service bike, let alone winning a stage.
I don't know. Maybe in bygone years, even if they had them, but I doubt. Not in recent history.
Or of any bike race, actually, that I can think of, not just the Tour de France. No. So, no is our very tentative answer, which is probably wrong because someone else will almost certainly school us. Stephen Lowe, where will you both be this time next year? Well, our plans are to be in France. We're putting together with Never Strays Far our podcast venture, a new venture that we're launching with Lizzie Deignan called Live in France. And in what exact shape that takes, we're not sure yet, but we're coming to France and we're going to be talking about the bike race from somewhere in France, close to the race, every day, live, in some shape or another. So do watch this space. That's the hope anyway. Paul Vors says, is it possible to get a job on the publicity caravan? Also, how much of an effect do you think the loss of free-to-air television coverage will have on British cycling?
I'll do the publicity caravan because it's normally within the companies that sponsor. They put a sort of lottery within the company for people to enter to come and spend a week as kind of part of your company benefits, if it could be called that. So no, you can't unless you work for the company. The punishment. So there's that one.
And in terms of the loss of free-to-air Tour de France coverage, I don't think it helps. I think it would be crazy to suggest it's a helpful development, but I hope that two things happen next year. I hope that many of you viewers who've enjoyed ITV's coverage, or watched it anyway, endured it over the years, do take the opportunity to move over to TNT and take a subscription. It's very important their audience is as big as it can be next year for the good of the sport. And if that's beyond you, which I totally understand, then do just keep your eyes open for what David, you, me and Lizzie and Pete hopefully will get up to next year, because that will be a free alternative. But I don't think it's I don't think it's a helpful move. All right, let's have a look at tomorrow's stage. It is 132.3 kilometres long, and it starts in Mont-la-Ville, which I know nothing about, and finishes in Paris Champs-Élysées, which I know an awful lot about.
Yeah, so it's kind of pretty much until 82 Ks, pretty much as it's always been, and then they do the deviation and do 3 laps with Montmartre, so it's very cool.
And Alex Dowsett, who we've been travelling with, has been very keen to stress that the Montmartre climb, which isn't the exact same climb they used on the Olympics, I think, is very narrow, very cobbly, and has a dead turn, I think, at the bottom and maybe at the beginning as well, so it's going to be strung out.
It's going to be an amazing race, potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a huge moment for any rider who's going to cross the line, perhaps even solo. Who knows? It might even be the yellow jersey himself winning on the Champs-Élysées. That would be quite something. Only one way to find out. Watch ITV4's last day of live coverage ever, potentially from Paris. And do tune in again to the Tour Today tomorrow, which is a line that I've closed the show off repeatedly with, and even I don't know what it means.